Socrates' statement challenges the way most people live. The majority of humans move through life on autopilot. They wake up, follow routines, chase goals given to them by society, and rarely stop to ask why. Why do I believe what I believe? Why do I desire what I desire? Why do I fear what I fear? Socrates argued that a life lived without asking these questions is not truly a human life. It is mere existence. For him, living meant more than breathing and surviving. It meant thinking deeply, questioning assumptions, and seeking truth. Socrates believed that human beings are unique because of their ability to reason. Animals act on instinct, but humans have the power to reflect on their actions and motives. When a person fails to use this power, they waste their greatest gift. An unexamined life is one where beliefs are inherited rather than chosen, where values are copied rather than understood, and where actions are driven by habit rather than wisdom. Such a life may appear successful from the outside, but inwardly it lacks depth, purpose, and authenticity. One of the most important aspects of the examined life is self-knowledge. Socrates famously said, "Know thyself." He believed that without understanding ourselves, our strengths, weaknesses, desires, and fears, we cannot live wisely. Many people think they know themselves, but in reality, they only know the roles they play: employee, student, parent, citizen. Socrates pushed people to go deeper, to question their character and moral choices. Are you truly just? Or do you only appear just when it benefits you? Are you truly kind? Or are you kind only when it is convenient? These uncomfortable questions form the foundation of an examined life. Socrates also believed that examination leads to moral responsibility. When you examine your beliefs and actions, you become accountable. Ignorance can no longer be used as an excuse. This is why many people avoid self-reflection. It is easier to follow the crowd than to stand alone with conscience. But for Socrates, moral integrity was more important than comfort or safety. He believed that doing wrong harms the soul more than suffering injustice harms the body. This belief guided his actions, even when it led to his death. The trial of Socrates perfectly illustrates his philosophy. He was accused of impiety and corrupting the youth because he encouraged young Athenians to question authority, tradition, and accepted beliefs. The court offered him a chance to escape execution if he agreed to stop philosophizing. Socrates refused. To him, a life without questioning was worse than death. Living silently, without examining life, would mean betraying his values and abandoning his purpose. His choice shows that the examined life is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is a way of living that requires courage, honesty, and sacrifice in a modern world. Socrates' message is more relevant than ever. Today, people are surrounded by constant noise: social media, news, entertainment, and endless distractions. There is little time for silence, reflection, or deep thinking. Opinions are formed quickly, often based on trends rather than truth. People adopt beliefs because they're popular, not because they have examined them. Socrates would likely see this as a dangerous form of collective ignorance. Without examination, societies become vulnerable to manipulation, misinformation, and moral decay. And unexamined life in the modern age often looks like chasing external success without internal understanding. People pursue money, status, and validation, believing these things will bring happiness. But without self-reflection, they may reach their goals only to feel it. Socrates argued that happiness does not come from wealth or power, but from virtue and wisdom. A person who understands themselves and lives according to their values experiences a deeper and more lasting fulfillment than someone who blindly chases material success. Another key aspect of the examined life is questioning societal norms. Socrates believed that traditions should not be accepted blindly. Just because something has always been done a certain way, does not mean it is right or just. This idea was revolutionary in ancient Athens and remains controversial today. Many social injustices throughout history persisted because people failed to question them. Slavery, discrimination, and oppression were all once considered normal. It was only when individuals examined these practices and challenged them that progress occurred. The examined life, therefore, is not only personal, it is also political and social. However, Socrates did not claim to have all the answers. In fact, he famously said that he was wise only because he knew that he knew nothing. This humility is a crucial part of the examined life. Examination is not about arrogance or superiority. It is about openness and curiosity. It requires admitting ignorance and being willing to learn. Many people fear questioning their beliefs because they are afraid of being wrong. Socrates taught that recognizing ignorance is the first step toward wisdom. Living an examined life is not easy. It requires facing uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world. It can lead to doubt, uncertainty, and even isolation. People who question deeply are often misunderstood or criticized. Socrates himself was mocked, rejected, and ultimately executed. Yet he believed that the pain of self-examination was necessary for growth. Just as physical exercise strengthens the body through discomfort, mental and moral examination strengthens the soul. The examined life also emphasizes intentional living. When you examine your choices, you begin to live deliberately rather than reactively. Instead of being controlled by impulses, emotions, or social pressure, you act according to reason and values. This does not mean suppressing emotions, but understanding them. Socrates believed that reason should guide desire, not the other way around. A life guided by unchecked desire leads to chaos and dissatisfaction, while a life guided by reason leads to harmony and balance. That in practical terms, examining life involves asking deep questions regularly. What do I truly value? Why do I make the choices I make? Am I living according to my principles, or am I compromising? What kind of legacy am I creating through my actions? These questions do not have simple answers, and they may change over time. But the act of asking them keeps life meaningful and alive. The Socrates statement does not mean that life without examination has no biological value, but that it lacks human dignity and depth. To live fully as a human being is to think, reflect, and seek understanding. Without this, life becomes shallow, driven by habit. Examination transforms existence into experience and survival into purpose. In the end, Socrates' message is both a warning and an invitation. It warns us against living blindly, without awareness or responsibility. And it invites us to slow down, reflect, and engage deeply with our lives. The examined life is not about achieving perfection, but about striving for wisdom. It is not about having all the answers, but about asking the right questions. Socrates died, but his words live on because they speak to a timeless truth. A meaningful life requires conscious thought. In a world that constantly pushes us to move faster and think less, choosing to examine life is a radical act. It is an act of courage, honesty, and freedom. And according to Socrates, it is the only life truly worth living.